Before I get into the Valhalla collab summary, I'd like to thank you, the viewer, once again for helping me reach the 1,000 subscriber milestone. I didn't think I'd get to it so quickly, but I do hope that this channel will keep on growing. I don't plan on stopping making this content anytime soon as well, so please enjoy this summary. To summarize what VA-11 Hall A Cyberpunk Bartender action is to people who are unfamiliar with the game, VA-11 Hall A, more commonly known as Valhalla, is a visual novel developed by Sukiban Games and published by Ysbert Games, where you play as Julianne Natalie Stingray, or just Jill Stingray, a 27-year-old bartender who works at the VA-11 Hall A bar in Glitch City, where she works with her boss, Dana Zane, and Gil, another bartender. In the game, as Jill, you serve different patrons of the bar drinks they request, most being parodies of common mixed drinks or copied off of real mixed drinks, hearing their woes and giving them advice when needed. Some of the more regular patrons of the bar include an editor of the local newspaper, a robot idol, a hacker, and a cat girl. As the story progresses, the player finds out more about Jill, the city she lives in, the regulars, and her co-workers. I'd personally recommend playing it if you haven't yet. It's well worth the playtime, and you can currently pick it up for about $15 US. GFL has most of the female regulars and some of the staff as characters in the game, namely Jill, Dana, Say, Stella, Dorothy, and Alma. There are also unique special equipment that fit each of these characters. The event summary will be split up into 4 parts. 1. Summary of the story. 2. Profiles of the event characters. 3. Analysis of the ferry. 4. My opinion on the event as a whole. Be warned, there are characters and events that appear in the Valhalla event that are spoilers for the main story of Girls Frontline, as well as spoilers for Valhalla. If you don't wish to be spoiled, you can skip to this time on the screen, which brings you to the character summaries. The story starts with someone named Anna, who looks like a Naito, giving an opening monologue. Anna says that the game has already begun, and while someone doesn't need to worry about making first impressions, they'll still need to put their best foot forward with the players. They'll make new friends, namely the G and KT dolls, and they may go on an adventure or get into danger. She then wishes luck to Julianne and Joe. The story cuts to MP5 and MP446 Viking, with MP5 asking if they're there yet. Viking asks if MP5 is scared and says they have to keep on moving as their tour guide is still waiting up ahead for them. The area they're in is dark and in ruins, which makes MP5 wonder what happened in the past. Viking says there's nothing to worry about, but is then frightened and fumbles around for a flashlight, revealing bones of the natives to be what scared her. MP5 asks Viking if she's scared of the dark, with Viking stuttering while denying her fear, saying that she's just worried about not having enough power. MP5 wishes she was somewhere safer, with Viking telling her to power through it and to trust their tour guide. The tour guide, who's revealed to be Dana, assures the T-Dolls that the route is safe and opens the door with an authentication system. Viking is surprised that Dana can authenticate without an electronic module, with Dana reminding them that, before the end of human civilization, our kind possessed superior security access. Dana reveals herself to the 2 T-Dolls, with MP5 fangirling over her being the woman who defeated MK48 in the Grand Slam. The 3 enter the room, with Dana showing off the final miracle of human civilization, the Earth computer, which has been reduced to nothing but electronic debris. While they're looking, Viking overhears steps coming towards them. MP5 and Viking run off scared, with Dana telling them that the core elevators are on the right and run from East Asia to Venezuela, and that they'll settle the bill later. Dana turns to face who was taking the steps, which is revealed to be Super Shorty, who's running low on batteries. 10 minutes later, Shorty wakes up, with Dana explaining that she's out of battery. Shorty doesn't remember who she is either, with Dana explaining again that perhaps her memory module went into sleep mode due to low power, and that getting some sunshine would help her. The 2 reach the surface, with Shorty asking why there's sand everywhere, and Shorty still can't remember anything. Dana reminds her that she should be Super Shorty, and that the environment probably ate away at her neural cloud for the past 3 years, with Shorty gaining back her memories to factory default. Shorty hears a noise in the distance, with Dana recommending that they get out of there quickly as the White Knight mechanized units are coming towards them. White Knights are Griffin City police force, being mostly made up of emotionless machines, but does include some humans and T-Dolls. Shorty asks why they have to run, Dana says that dolls that take in too much sunshine become lazy and no longer want to return to Griffin City to partake in the entertainment, growing to hate social interaction, which leads the White Knights to periodically search the desert for dolls with over 80% battery. If a doll's battery is over 80%, then they'll be sent to a forced labor camp to burn it off. The two get into a car, and Dana says she'll give Shorty a tour while avoiding the White Knights. A few minutes into their trip, Shorty asks if Dana said that humanity is extinct and what happened. According to the history that the dolls voted on, in the year 3029, a group of higher-ups in the environmentalist movement categorized herbivore animals as citizens, after which several elephants transmitted an experimental virus to mankind at a religious carnival, with the zombie infectees not being cleansed. There's only 300,000 users registered in Griffin City, with 1% of them being human. The Earth computer eventually elected a Lilim, a type of robot, to be Prime Minister, with the PM improving the entertainment but leaving everything else to the White Knights. But after the Earth computer went missing, the PM quickly lost control. Because of this, it started raining sand, with the Earth now being covered in 90% sand. Shorty hears the sounds of engines approaching. Jericho calls over the radio for Architect to stop. Dana decides to join in the pursuit of Architect, who's also revealed to be the last SF ringleader doll and a public enemy. Architect remembers Dana from before and challenges her, with the winner taking the opponent's life. The chase continues with Dana driving towards a cliff while pursuing Architect. As they get closer, Shorty asks what Dana's plan is, with Dana saying that she's planning on playing chicken by driving off a cliff. Shorty is obviously worried about this plan, as it has a very high probability of killing Dana in the crash. Architect believes her reflexes and bets 3 backup bodies that she'll beat Dana, with Dana saying that she'll win in a game of chicken, but Dana herself doesn't intend to break. Dana crashes the car into Architects, making both plunge off the cliff. After the crash, Shorty calls out for Dana, only to get no response. Architect says she's had fun, but it'll take more than that to capture her. Shorty struggles to get to her feet and points her shotgun at Architect, saying she won't let her leave, with threats being hurled from both of them. Before Architect can strike Shorty, Dana takes her down with a baguette. Dana wonders if Shorty was previously in the White Knights due to her hatred towards SF. Jericho says that they don't have midgets like Shorty in the White Knights, with Dana chastising her for being late. Dana and Jericho begin to get into a spat, with Jericho saying that Dana is obstructing police business, and Dana saying that it's more of a friendship. Jericho gets Architect's head scanned as she's a last FF that needs to be captured. Dana asks for a few repair fairies so that her car can be fixed. Jericho asks why Dana has Shorty with her, as humans employing T-dolls has been forbidden for hundreds of years. Dana explains that she picked up Shorty just recently and didn't want to leave her for SF. Jericho asks if they can borrow Shorty, with Dana getting defensive and saying that she hasn't absorbed too much sunlight. Jericho reminds Dana that she's part of the Blitzkrieg Corps and is more concerned with if Shorty has been infected with the Parapuli virus. Shorty asks what the Parapuli virus is, with it being explained that it's an electronic virus made by the supreme leader of SF, Elisa, with the virus granting Elisa full control of any G&K doll it's infected with. Jericho's unit's mission is to capture Elisa and put an end to the SF menacing Griffin City. Dana wishes good luck in advance to Jericho and asks if she can accompany Shorty back to base. Jericho calls the Prime Minister on how to deal with Shorty. Dana calms Shorty, saying that it's just a routine check, only having to take off her coat at the most. Jericho comes back and says that Dana and Shorty can take her car back, and once the checkup is over, she can take Shorty home. Dana complains about the payment, with Jericho saying she should be happy she at least has it. Elsewhere, Jill wakes up and complains about her stomach, blaming a can of pickle-flavored soda taking too long to digest. She chooses a song from the jukebox to play, after which saying her signature line, "Time to mix drinks and change lives." There's no response as Gil took the day off and Dana went shopping but should have been back 10 minutes ago. Jill speaks to no one, saying she's doing very well and at least Anna isn't here. A woman barges in saying the washboard, Jill, is under arrest. Jill isn't amused with the threats, saying that she's used to being called flat and that she can't arrest her as she isn't a White Knight. The woman was expecting Jill to have more of a reaction, with Jill explaining that she'll just hand over the money if she's being robbed and doesn't believe the woman would come here just to kill her. After talking some more, Jill begins to recognize the woman as neither human nor Lilim, with the woman being surprised by her observations. The woman orders a sugar rush in exchange for a proper answer as to who and what the woman is. Jill serves the woman her drink, with the woman enjoying it and introducing herself as M870, an autonomous tactical doll made by IOP Company and employed by the G&K PMC as a combat op. Jill recognizes the company name from the local newspaper, The Augmented Eye, saying that Zaibatsu Corp hired G&K to come for testing and interaction work. 870 confirms this, surprised that Jill had to read the news to find out what most of the city already knew. Jill responds by saying that with Zaibatsu Corp's track record, 870 will probably be only working in the wealthier districts. 870 mentions that her welcome has been cold in Glitch City, with Jill saying that cold is the most friendly welcome that she'll get as a security member, then asks if M870 is her name or if it's the name of the shotgun she's carrying. 870 explains that dolls are named after the weapons they use, with it further being explained that all the guns the dolls carry have a ton of safety devices. Jill is more worried about her personality than anything. Jill asks what 870 is doing in Glitch City, which ends up being what the White Knights did: patrolling, standing sentry, rescue, catching criminals, and so on. 870 requests another drink, a Mars Blast, as she wants to stick around due to Jill amusing her. After chugging down her drink, Jill asks what 870 thinks about Glitch City, with 870 saying though it's dirty, mean, and violent, it's fresh to her compared to other places that are too peaceful or too violent. 870 orders another drink, but asks for Jill's opinion on what to order next, with Jill recommending the Piano Woman. 870 asks why, with Jill saying that she has a Lilum friend who enjoys it and wants to see if dolls enjoy it as well. 870 enjoys it, with Jill asking if Lilums and dolls are similar at all. 870 explains that Lilum's neural clouds grow in a freeform way, while dolls have some factory settings with parts of their personality being hard to change, while others grow and change according to what they learn, with a discussion about feelings between humans and dolls unfolding. Before 870 heads back to base, Jill asks how she found the bar, with 870 saying that she found it on Kiramiki's blog, with 870's friend being a fan of Kiramiki. Dana gets back just as 870 leaves, asking who she was. Jill explains that she was a G&K doll, with Dana saying that she's taken a bunch of pictures with other dolls before, and asks if more dolls will visit in the future. A while later in Griffin City, a white knight named Sei arrives at Valhalla, with Jill welcoming her in. Sei says the bar smells weirder than how Jericho described it. Jill agrees and mentions that Jericho is a regular at the bar. Sei is seated and asks for a sugar rush as she'll be on duty in a bit, requesting the Carmotrine to be removed. Sei is confused as to why Jill's the boss and mixing the drinks herself, with Jill explaining that she has an employee named Gillian, but she's at the Sans Reims protest. Sei must have her hands full with the protests as White Knights are the ones who quell them, but Sei explains that the weapons they wield are more dangerous than the protesters as they don't know how to chamber rounds and sometimes misfire. Jill wonders if the PM will come to the protest, but is told that she won't as she's in charge of entertainment and wouldn't be suited towards it, which causes her to further wonder if she's actually in control of the city or not. Sei asks if Jill has heard about the rumors as well, that PM Dorothy Hayes is just a puppet, but then questions why the PM would rain down sand. Sei takes off her helmet and drinks the sugar rush, enjoying the drink. Jill believes she recognizes Sei from somewhere after she removes her helmet, pinpointing her as Stella Hoshi's bodyguard. Sei asks how she knows Stella, with Jill saying that it's hard to not know the richest native of Griffin City, saying how much her IOP Foundation has done, and that she came in for a drink a long time ago. Sei starts telling Jill about her history with Stella after finishing her drink. The two were childhood friends meeting at a children's park. Her eye was taken out by SF who attacked the two of them, which took a lot of courage for Stella to tell the public. And ever since the first sand rain, working with Stella has become harder and harder due to her toughening her way through things, leading Sei to leave her position as her bodyguard and join the White Knights. Jill asks if the two have kept in touch, as Stella hasn't made any public appearances in the last 3 years, and no news has come out about her in the past few months. The two haven't kept in touch, but Stella did message Sei out of the blue last night, with Stella knowing what Sei is doing currently. Jill recommends that Sei talk to Stella, with Sei saying that she'll give it some serious thought after the next operation. As Sei is about to order another drink, Captain Jericho shows up, with her explanation as to why she's late, being that a baguette-wielding vigilante and the little pet she found caused her trouble along the way, telling Jill that she and Sei will be on her way after the next drink. The two leave after Sei's recommendation to leave now instead of after. After leaving, Jericho reveals that she found Elisa's location after searching through Architect's head, making her excited to finally get rid of SF and ensure the safety of Griffin City. Say thanks Jericho for the past few months and for being her friend, with Jericho having trouble reciprocating but eventually doing so before arriving at the location where Elisa is. Elisa has hidden herself in a few of the native residential area's warehouses. Say reveals that she and Stella grew up in the area. After the operation ends, the Blitzkrieg Corps arrive at their destination. Say worries that it may be a trap, with Jericho agreeing and backing up her neural cloud. The two enter the warehouse while the rest of the Corps stay outside. 10 minutes go by and the two reach a factory, with Say noticing a hatch and opening it. Inside is Elisa, unmoving and seemingly out of power, not having powers in 3 years like the factory they're in. Jericho examines Elisa's body, finding that her SF command module was removed a long time ago, revealing that someone else has been controlling SF the entire time, not Elisa. Say seems disheartened, with Jericho trying to comfort her, saying that if they find out who owns the buildings, before being cut off by Say. Say says, "Captain Jericho, last night Stella sent me a message." "And what of it?" Jericho asks. She asks me, "Do you still remember the place where we played hide and seek as kids? Please help me keep this a secret." Say and Stella used to play hide and seek here as kids, with Stella's family owning the warehouses. Jericho quickly accuses Stella Hoshi as the mastermind of SF. She hears a gun cocking behind her as she goes to stand, and freezes. Jericho asks if Stella asks Say to point a gun at her. Jericho begins to see what's happening. Architect falling into her hands, and then, when they reach the warehouse, Say will kill her. Say doesn't want Stella to be captured by the White Knights. She must do this to keep the secret. Jericho asks if she knows what she's doing, as she can't back up her memories inside the factory. Say will make up a lie for her to believe, as she's a trusted subordinate, continuing to be friends with the person who killed her. The person who killed her to protect someone in the possession of Parapuli who may endanger everyone in Griffin City. For Stella, Say will become any monster and do anything she asks as she wants to protect her. All Say wants to do is something for her friend. If Stella were a doll and Jericho a human, would things be different? Jericho reminds Say that a doll's gun draw speed completely outclasses a human's. A gun goes off, either Jericho shooting herself for Say's sake or Say shooting her. Say asks why, with Jericho saying that she also wanted to do something for her friend. Back at the bar, Dana comes back to the bar with a bucket full of spicy fried chicken, causing Jill to cough heavily. Dana goes to the office to enjoy her chicken, while Jill sets up the bar for service. After she picks the music, two dolls enter the bar, introducing themselves as K2 and TMP, and saying they came to her bar because Kiramiki visited here previously. The two dolls order a drink, K2 ordering a Bloom Light and enjoying it. Before TMP is able to complete her order, K2 notices Kiramiki's signature nearby, with both dolls fangirling over it. K2 asks what Kiramiki is like, with Jill giving the canned answer of friendly and graceful like on stage. K2 and Jill talk about the idol industry and how idols feel about being commercialized before Dana comes out of the office and notices that there's two dolls in the bar. Dana chastises Jill for not letting her know sooner, with Jill snapping back that they're customers, not UFOs passing in the night. Dana invites K2 back to her office for some spicy fried chicken, as K2 seems interested in it, leaving Jill and TMP alone together at the bar. TMP stares silently at Jill before Jill breaks the silence, asking what she'd like to order. TMP orders a bad touch, which causes Jill to giggle at its name because she's childish. TMP and Jill get to talking about how TMP can read expressions, as TMP wanted to see if Jill was lying about the authenticity of Kiramiki's signature. Then talking about how dolls are meant to imitate human beings and not be superior to them in any way. As they continue their conversation, another doll pops into the bar, at TMP's mention of her teammates, with TMP introducing the new guest as AEK-999. AEK orders a pile driver and gives TMP a sip, with TMP not enjoying how strong the drink is. AEK tells TMP what she did before coming to the bar, mostly looking for Christine Love, a game dev she enjoys, and racing other motorcyclists around a track called Death Lane. K2 exits Dana's office and tells AEK to stop spouting her delusions, before leaving with TMP and AEK. After they leave, Jill asks what Dana thought of them, with Dana describing them as more Griffin than Willem, and gives Jill some break time. Meanwhile, in front of Griffin City Hall, dolls and humans are gathered in protest, with MP5 and Viking in attendance due to all the shops and bars being closed. Suddenly, MP5 is tripped by Stella, who helps her get back to her feet and walks away. Stella reports to VA-2000 that the parapuli infection was successful and the module's functions are normal, with WA reporting she's in position. The White Knights haven't shown up to the protest yet, meaning Architect and Say were successful in delaying Jericho, as well as the PM not believing the dolls will do anything rash, unless they're controlled by Stella, with WA in wait somewhere nearby. The PM appears, like Stella planned, and begins to address the crowd. Dorothy says she'll take everyone's questions about the global sand rains in a public live-streamed event. A doll from the crowd, G28, approaches where Dorothy is to ask a question. Security attempts to stop her, but Dorothy allows her to ask her question as she recognizes her from interviews before. G28 asks how Dorothy will respond to everyone's doubts about the sand rains as nothing has been done for the past 3 years. Dorothy says that it'll take time, with another reporter, Kay, disliking the answer given. Dorothy gets security to escort Kay off the stage as he's getting increasingly angry, but before he can be fully escorted, G28 wall Jericho's him, which she claims that she didn't do of her own free will, being unfamiliar with wrestling moves. Stella reveals herself to be the one controlling G28, with Dorothy being surprised by her sudden reappearance. Stella uses the parapuli virus to force all the dolls in attendance to rush the stage and subdue the guards. Stella accuses Dorothy of taking someone named Alma and hiding the Earth computer. Dorothy denies the claims and orders her White Knights to quell the riot. Stella tells WA to take the shot, with WA piercing the critical modules of several mech White Knights, making them fall apart. Dorothy flees into City Hall, with Stella giving chase. Stella leads the control dolls to the office of the PM and kicks open the door, ordering WA to keep an eye outside. Dorothy attempts to negotiate a deal with Stella, but she only wants to know about Alma or the Earth computer. Dorothy doesn't know anything, or at least claims so, with Stella electing to take her apart piece by piece before Anna stops her. Dorothy asks where she knows that name, with Stella saying that she found out while she was gone. Stella knows that Dorothy isn't loyal to the Earth computer or Griffin City, but to Anna, with Dorothy saying that she should have killed Stella before. Anna doesn't care about Dorothy, so taking her hostage is pointless, as she just sees Dorothy as a tool, despite raising her. Stella asks Dorothy what she knows about Anna, but even Dorothy has little information about her older sister, just that she's eagerly awaiting the end of the world. Stella offers Dorothy a chance to redeem herself by joining her side, with Dorothy saying she'll consider the offer before freezing and smiling bitterly. She's coming, Dorothy says, as her body stops responding to her and white noise starts coming from inside her body. Laughter comes from the white noise, growing in intensity before going to silence. Anna, now in control of Dorothy's body, greets Stella and reveals why she's revealed herself. Anna now possesses all the fragments she needs. All that she needs to do is conduct an experiment. Stella asks where Anna hid the Earth computer, with Anna saying that she hasn't done anything with it. While Anna does want to destroy the Earth computer, she doesn't know where it is, but that plan is taking too long. However, in the meantime, Dorothy bought Anna enough time to finish a different plan. Anna mentions someone named Becky, who Stella doesn't know. Anna snaps her fingers, and WA reports numerous White Knights mechs have touched down and are overwhelming the crowd. Anna asks Stella if she's afraid, but Stella's excited as 3 years of investigation are more accurate than expected. Anna says that as ruler of Griffin City, she'll pass a verdict on the validity of her findings. Back at Valhalla, Dana asks if Jill has gotten used to the Griffin dolls yet, with Jill responding that they look more like they're in the city to have fun than they are to patrol. Jill chooses the music for the night, and Dorothy rushes through the door, not being amused by Jill's reaction to her exaggerated antics, though seeing a Lilim instead of a doll is refreshing to Jill. Dorothy asks if she can bring a friend over, which she never does, and brings in OTS-44, another doll from Griffin. Dorothy met 44 on the way to the bar, who seemed to be bothered by something, which is why she brought her to the bar. Jill is curious as to why 44 followed a Lilim to a sketchy district, but M870 told 44 about the bar before, so she isn't worried. Jill asks what's bothering 44, with Dorothy suggesting to discuss it over a drink, and orders a blue fairy. 44 believes she's in love, which should be a good thing, but 44 reveals that she's in love with a telephone pole. She knows her love of the telephone pole isn't sincere, but more so feels that Glitch City has a strange effect on dolls, with the many electrical currents and nanomachines probably affecting dolls' modules. 44's feelings manifest as her constantly thinking about it, wanting to touch it, climb it, let its electricity flow through her, and scorch her. Before she can continue, Dorothy cuts her off and orders her usual drink, a piano woman. 44 continues on, saying that before the pole, she loved a set of wireless earphones, a satellite, and a movie trailer. Jill is confused by the trailer, with 44 saying that she would rewatch the trailer in her dorm constantly, wanting to become a part of it, to enter the trailer itself. Not being able to keep her thoughts contained, she left the dorm and bumped into the telephone pole. Dorothy believes she's found a clue as to why 44 has fallen in love with the pole, because 44 must have received an intense shock. 44 agrees as she's fell down listening to music and looked up and saw the satellite while having water poured on her. 44 might have been too thirsty for love, as she's always been curious about human emotion. Dorothy requests the most intense drink Jill has. Jill is hesitant due to the electronics around 44, but then realizes that Dorothy is the electronic closest to her. 44 downs the drink in one gulp, and Dorothy asks if she's fallen in love with her. 44 doesn't respond, which worries Dorothy as she thinks she's broken a Griffin doll. 44 regains consciousness and believes she's fallen in love with something new. Dorothy. Not Miss Dorothy the Lilum, but Dorothy the name. Whenever 44 hears the name Dorothy, her body gets hot. Dorothy escorts 44 back to her dorm, hoping to dodge her commander as she doesn't want to explain the situation she's ended up in. The two leave, finding the true feeling of love for 44, and Jill remarks that she's jealous of an android. Back in Griffin City, Dana and Shorty are in a White Knight transport van. When they arrive, Shorty asks where they are, to which Dana replies Griffin City. Dana knows this as the tires make a different sound due to Griffin City only having roads like it. Shorty asks if Dana misses the bygone age of humans, but Dana doesn't, as she rationalizes it through everything coming to an end eventually, even the universe. But that doesn't stop her from enjoying her time. The van comes to a halt after Dana calls Shorty cute, with the two exiting the van after they arrive at the White Knight's base. Two mechanized White Knights escort Shorty off for a checkup, with Dana saying that she'll wait for her outside. As she tries to make small talk with the mechanized White Knights at the front gate, a voice tells Dana to get down. A grenade hits the White Knight in front of Dana, sending her flying. Architect, the person who shot the grenade, waves Dana over from behind cover. Dana asks what this is about, with Architect saying that Anna's on the move due to her assuming direct control of the White Knight mechs, making them all berserk, then explaining that Anna is the true mastermind of the city. Dana starts to worry about Shorty and offers Architect some Hassie in exchange for helping her rescue Shorty. Inside, Shorty wakes up, unable to see or move her body, and begins to recover her memories. She remembers talking to someone and arguing with her second in command, someone who's currently unknown, and talks to them about how there's going to be a lot of SF around the Earth computer, and that their mission concerns the fate of the entire world. Shorty awakens from a call from Dana, and says that they'll be on their way. Dana and Architect eventually find the potty Shorty is in, with Architect blasting Shorty out of it with her RPG. Shorty starts spouting that Architect is an enemy before Architect pins her to a wall and starts monologuing. SF was made by the Earth's computer, and if her memories are correct, Shorty was an intruder and her enemy. Dana asks why Architect is at the space, with her saying that she's after something useful, meaning that she deliberately meant to be captured so that she could be brought to the base. Shorty still doesn't remember what she was going to do with the Earth computer, but they weren't going to do anything bad. Good or bad, it doesn't matter, as every villain made speeches to justify their means. The question is Shorty going to join Architect or hide? The three end up joining forces, and before they leave, someone on the radio calls for Shorty, calling her Super Shorty. The voice says Shorty has been gone for 3 years, asking where she went and why she is with an SF. Shorty asks who the voice is, with the voice revealing herself to be the long-lost Alma Armas, her commander from 3 years ago. Back at Valhalla, Dana is about to head out to buy something and offers to pick up anything for Jill. Jill predicts that Dana is going to buy a dinner gate and asks Dana to get her a robo made for her. Dana says that Griffin services are sold out and to stop running away from her problems, leaving the place to Jill as she heads out. Jill puts on some music, and Alma walks in with G36 in tow. G36 introduces herself politely to Jill, with Alma explaining that she's her companion for tonight, with G36 being part of a maid rental service. Alma mentions that she has more of the maids in her service, with Jill also saying that she has been gone a while. Alma only just managed to step out to catch her breath, ordering a brandtini. Alma is pleased with her drink, praising Jill as the best bartender in Glitch City. Jill asks what Alma's been busy with her replying that she's mainly been debugging stuff, as the dolls use tech she's unfamiliar with. Jill asks Alma if she's done anything wrong, as G36 seems to be avoiding Jill and looks angry. Alma explains that G36 is far-sighted, a factory design, hence her scowl. G36 says that she feels as if something is wrong, with Alma saying that G36's reflexes seem slower. Jill asks if Alma's debugging was legal, with Alma explaining that there were, quote, a few parts that she couldn't really put back. Alma looks into the eyes of G36 before writing something down and heads out to make a call. Another G36 enters the bar, this time dressed in a butler's uniform, and introduces herself as the real G36. Maid G36 disagrees with Butler G36 being the real one, with Butler G36 saying that she will explain in full detail the situation, but first wanting a suplex. Butler G36 downs the drink in one mouthful and thanks Jill for the drink, saying that she'll take it back to Griffin. Butler G36 asks if Maid G36 could have downed such a strong drink, with Maid G36 disagreeing. Butler G36 says the real G36 could handle her liquor, calling Maid G36 nothing more than a vacuum cleaner. Butler G36 explains that an hour ago, Alma brought Butler G36 outside and Alma accidentally knocked over a vacuum cleaner, with Alma helping said vacuum up, and when helping the vacuum up, something in its mind must have switched. Maid G36 doesn't want to accept that she was possibly a vacuum cleaner, with Butler G36 explaining that she escaped the vacuum by transferring to her current body. Suddenly, another G36 enters the bar, this time in the form of a child. She calls Maid G36 Miss Vacuum and Butler G36 Miss Toaster, before ordering a fluffy dream. Jill questions Kid G36 about if she can drink or not, with Kid G36 reassuring her that though her personality is turned childlike, she still has her memories from her adult body. Butler G36 is confused why Kid G36 called her a toaster, with Kid G36 explaining that Butler G36 has inherited G36 deleted and misplaced memories, attributing this to her originally wanting a suplex and deciding to go with something milder like a fluffy dream. Kid G36 asks if either of the other G36s remember where the damage of their oath ring came from, much like how Butler G36 asks if Maid G36 remembered who they were oathed to. Maid and Butler G36 say that being a maid is tiring and want to go back to being a vacuum and a toaster, with Kid G36 suggesting that they become dinner gates instead, as they have many functions. Kid G36 takes Butler and Maid G36 to the supermarket to look at dinner gate models, with all three of them thanking Jill for her time. Alma re-enters the bar after settling the phone call, having someone come over and check things out. Alma then realizes that her maid is left, asking where she went, with Jill saying that her maid, her toaster, and her vacuum cleaner went shopping. Alma thinks Jill has too much to drink, with Jill asking Alma to pick up the tab her appliances left. Back at the White Knight's base, Alma embraces Shorty, being happy that she's alright. The others introduce themselves to Alma, and Alma begins to explain what she's been up to, having been under house arrest from the White Knights in her current office, offering the girls a coffee or brandtini while the White Knights are tearing down Griffin City. Alma begins explaining the past of Shorty, herself, and the world. Alma herself came from a large, close-knit, middle-class family, enjoying solving puzzles and being curious about prehistoric culture, which sparked her interest in prehistoric electronic security and cracking, with Alma teaching herself to be a hacker and remodeling her hands. Alma prides herself to be the best native hacker on Earth, accepting an invitation from Stella Hoshi at her 16 lab research institution, until she received a request from Stella to find the SF mastermind. Alma studied SF-OGAS protocol and backtraced their signals, learning that the source of the SF threat was the Earth computer itself. Why did the device managing the world want to kill the natives? To find out, IOP picked out their two smallest T-dolls to carry out the mission, Shorty and someone who will be revealed when Shorty remembers. After sending the two down, they vanished with the Earth computer, Sam began falling, and Stella vanished. In order to regain her memories, Alma needs to install an electronic warfare module into Shorty, with Shorty needing to break through the firewalls in her neural cloud and eliminate errors along the way, needing not to lose or she will forever be lost in level 2 of her mind. Shorty enters into the memories of her past, where she meets the other small T-doll, IDW. IDW reveals their mission, to insert Alma's hacking program into the Earth computer in order to figure out what orders the computer is carrying out. The two finally reach the Earth computer's room, with Shorty telling IDW that she'll stay outside and operate the external control console in case SF barges in or something else happens while IDW goes into the Earth computer core. IDW finds the control console and uses a fairy to insert the hacking program and activates the system. IDW is scared as a white-haired girl is staring at her, with the girl revealing herself to be Elisa, an avatar of the Earth computer's AI. Shorty gets IDW to ask why SF is attacking the world, with Elisa explaining that SF was created because someone gave the order to her, with the order being to cleanse the world. Said order is unable to be cancelled as the person who gave the order had super user privilege. Shorty and IDW try to think of a way to shut down Elisa, as she plans on destroying Griffin City tomorrow with Jupiter cannons and SF ringleaders. IDW suggests replacing herself with Elisa, and because of the change in control AI, the Earth computer would recalculate a new way to execute the extermination plan based on IDW's neural cloud. IDW forces her way into the doll pod, justifying that the world will end more slowly because she's an idiot. IDW makes one last request of Shorty, to move their computer somewhere safe, so that nobody will find it, and to take care of Elisa for her so that Alma may study her. The Earth computer slowly goes down to the Earth's core, a place where no one will look, while SF break down the walls to enter the control room. Shorty tries to escape from the SF units flooding into the room, pulling the self-destruct lever on her way out, carrying Elisa in one hand. Shorty wakes up and tells Alma that they need to finish the fight, and asks if Alma has recovered Elisa's body, with Architect disappearing sometime in between. Dana calls Jericho as she was on her way to capture the mastermind of SF. Jericho finally picks up her phone, with Jericho asking Dana and the two others to come to her as she has Elisa and is in a bind. The three hurry over to Jericho. Back in Valhalla, Dana mentions to Jill that the Griffin dolls will be leaving in a week, with the two of them saying they'll miss the life they brought to Glitch City. Jill selects some music once again to play, and a new doll comes in, with Jill mentally commenting that her boobs are bigger than Alma's. The doll introduces herself as G28 and orders a frothy water, something her big sister 416 likes. Jill and G28 start talking about the differences between Lilims and dolls, with imprinting weapons being one of the main points. Dolls are fitted with an imprint module that increases their effectiveness when using their specific weapons, with the dolls being considered tactical dolls because of the weapons they hold. G28 then begins to explain her relationship with 416 and how they aren't too close. Not to say that the relationship is bad at all, but their personalities don't mesh well together, with G28 being described by the commander of Griffin as cute and lively, while 416 is distant from everyone. Her past being a mystery and 416 going missing for a long time. Jill says that drinking at a bar won't solve the problem. G28 orders another drink, this time a beer, chugging it so hard that her boobs jiggle, Jill's words not mine, with G28 praising the beer. Jill asks G28 if she likes her sister, which she does, with Jill mentioning that G28 isn't obligated to like her sister or any of her interests. G28's memories in her neural cloud were once deleted, making her unsure whether or not to like this particular big sister. Because the missions 416 went on were clandestine and dangerous, G28's superiors made her forget some things about her, even that she existed, making G28 wonder if she's the original 416 from her memories. G28 still will try from the bottom of her heart to like this 416. G28 exits, planning on looking for 416. And then, after G28 leaves, 416 appears, waiting for G28 to leave before she makes herself apparent. 416 describes G28 as very annoying, but smarter than she looks, cursing at the commander for allowing G28's memories concerning her to be returned. Jill asks what 416 wants to order, muttering for a beer under her breath before changing her request to a cobalt velvet and then back to a beer. Jill leaves 416 with her beer after 416 requests some time alone, before the science is broken by 416 asking if human families are also so troublesome. Jill believes that they're more troublesome than they are for 416, as it's easier for humans to go from liking to hating than hating to liking. 416 wants her to hate her sister and her colleagues, but she can't help but like them, with Jill telling her to stop running away from her problem. 416 denies she runs away from things, with Jill asking her to prove it by finishing her beer, as G28 said 416 only enjoys sweet and sour drinks. 416 tries to make excuses, with her bringing up that she hasn't tried alcohol, or at least doesn't remember due to deleted memories. Memories her commander and colleagues don't want her to recall. 416 proposes an experiment, downs her beer in one gulp, and passes out. Back where Dorothy is, she regains consciousness after being remotely controlled by Anna, being confused as to where she is. Stella quiets her down as White Knight mechs are about to find them. Stella reveals to Dorothy that after Anna released control, she hacked into her body to take control. Dorothy suddenly starts acting strangely and breaks into a sprint, shouting for Stella to hack her more before running into a wall. The two reach a dead end, which was unexpected by Stella as there's supposed to be a path. A voice from behind the wall reveals that there's a secret tunnel. The tunnel opens with the voice being revealed as Sei, who is immediately greeted by a hug from Stella. Sei drags the two into the tunnel and closes the door, continuing on through the dark passage. Stella asks what happened to Jericho after Sei reveals that the passage can only be accessed by captains, Sei being a vice captain. Sei says that Jericho gave her permissions as natives only live once, and can't believe that Stella would ask how Jericho is doing after what she ordered her to do. Though Jericho will forget, Sei will remember this forever, with Stella offering some memory erasure surgery. Sei reveals that she didn't kill Jericho, which stuns Stella. Sei missed her first shot and couldn't finish the job, leaving Jericho outside where she could call for help, believing that she'll survive and will hopefully be on their side. Stella understands, but it doesn't matter now anyways, as her original plan was to use the Parapuli virus to take control of the Griffin dolls, overthrowing Dorothy and rooting out Anna. Sei asks how Stella became the supreme leader of SF, with Stella saying that she asked Alma to look into them. And then, on the night they were supposed to make an exchange, Alma was arrested by the White Knights, making Stella worried, as well as not finding Shorty or IDW. Instead, they delivered Elise's body to the meeting point, with Stella studying Elise's internal structure and extracting her SF module for personal use. Sei and Dorothy tell Stella to rely on others, as well as asking where Anna is. Stella has no idea, but is told by Sei to not lose hope until the bitter end. Dorothy suggests checking out Valhalla, the bar mentioned on Kiramiki's blog, as Anna once mentioned to Dorothy that it was the beginning of everything. Sei is hesitant to go someplace that may be dangerous and house Anna, but Stella quickly settles her worries, asking Sei to send Jericho a message for reinforcements. The three exit the secret tunnel to find chaos reigning throughout Griffin City, as wreckages of White Knight mechs litter the streets. Sei didn't think that the dolls or natives would have held out as long as they have, but the mechs scattered about say otherwise. Dorothy makes an announcement to the crowd asking everyone to fight the cloaked enemy of Griffin City to the very end. The crowd cheers for the truth finally being told, with Dorothy, Stella, and Sei heading towards Valhalla. The three finally reach the bar and are greeted by G28, also known as Gillian, with Dorothy ordering a piano woman. Stella asks where Jill is, with G28 saying that she went home to take shelter due to the dangers outside. Stella tells G28 to look her in the eye, hacking her and revealing the location of Jill to be at the back door. The three press their ears to the door, hearing Jill talk about card readings, specifically that a ghost would bring her tremendous change. This ghost told Jill that everything would begin and end here, with the three accidentally opening the back door from leaning on it too much. Stella asks what she's doing, with G28 explaining that Jill enjoys research into occultism theories. The three chastise Jill for her childish dreams of summoning ghosts while the world is ending, with Stella slowly coming to a realization that the ghost Jill is talking about, Anna Graem, is Anna, Dorothy's older sister. Dorothy begins to float in the air, due to a levitation potion being put in her drink earlier. As Stella goes to grab G28, she knocks down Stella with her breasts and Wall of Jericho's her. G28 tells Jill to run as they're looking for Anna, and to find some place where she can see Anna. Sei pulls out her gun to stop Jill, and while G28 is distracted, Stella reverse pins her to the ground. Sei convinces Jill to work with them and goes to grab Jill, but when she goes, her hand touches nothing but thin air, vanishing before them. The three begin to question G28, who is hesitant as she doesn't know if they'll accept the truth of their world. Back once again in Valhalla, Jill notices someone new in the bar with Dana, who Dana introduces as M16A1. Jill's curious as to why the doll and Dana are friends, with M16 saying that they both taught a couple of armed robbers a lesson at a street corner. Dana asks Jill to keep M16 company as she has a few forms to fill out with the BTC, as afterwards the two plan on going out for a drink. Jill chooses some music, goes into work mode, her words, and messes up her catchphrase by saying, "Time to serve mix and change lives." M16 asks what she got wrong, with Jill explaining that it's supposed to be mix drinks and change lives, a greeting they use when being trained and starting their shifts. M16 reveals that she's good at reading faces and that her combat experience is on par with all of the dolls Jill has met so far, excluding 416, who's passed out on a couch nearby. M16 and 416 are old acquaintances, and if Jill wants to hear some of M16's stories, she'll need a drink. M16 makes Jill guess what kind of drink she'd like, with Jill making the correct guess of a Brandtini. But M16 wants something stronger as she's had many Brandtinis in the past few days. Jill makes her a gut punch, which M16 thoroughly enjoys. Jill asks M16 to tell her story, with M16 saying that she'd be a teenage girl, were she a human. But she has seen the Frontline ever since she opened her eyes. A girl's Frontline, to Jill's understanding. M16's previous team leader was a lot like Jill, lost, shy, and unable to deal with a problem if she ever ran into an extreme situation, eventually regretting her choices, telling Jill not to worry too much about how well she is treated by her boss. Stella enters the bar and asks who M16 is, with M16 introducing herself, with both noticing each other's right eyes. Stella offers to buy M16 a drink, but she declines as she needs to save room for drinks with Dana later. Stella sits next to M16 and orders a Bleeding Jane. Jill asks if Stella is waiting for Sei, which she is, as she's arranged to go to the Griffin base with Sei to meet some Kiramiki fans amongst the Griffin dolls, with M16's guesses of K2 and the others being confirmed. M16 and Stella get to talking about Kiramiki's song, Shine Spark, as Stella plays it through the bar's speakers. Stella asks M16 if there's anything she could keep in mind when interacting with a Griffin doll, as she's never interacted with one before, with M16 saying there's nothing to worry about. Sei finally appears, with Stella being ecstatic about her arrival, wearing her white knight armor, as the people from 16 Lab want to study it despite now being Stella's bodyguard. Jill asks Sei if she wants something to drink, with Sei thinking of something that would bolster her courage. Jill decides on making Sei a grizzly temple. Before the two friends leave, Stella asks M16 what she would do if she faced a human criminal. M16 says that earlier today she beat up a person wielding a knife, but she would have killed him if ordered to do so. Stella is curious to see how close dolls are to Lilim, which is why she was asking. Dana finishes the forms and greets Sei and Stella, with Stella offering Dana, Jill, and M16 an invitation to the offline meeting at the Griffin base. Dana and M16 take her up on her offer, but Jill decides to pass as she's tired. Jill asks what she should do about 416 sleeping on the couch, with M16 saying that someone will take care of her, but wants a picture as a memento before she goes. The four leave after saying goodnight, and Jill is overcome with a sudden wave of tiredness, her brain feeling like it can't keep up. Elsewhere, Dana and Shorty enter the ruins of the Earth computer, with Shorty showing Dana where the tunnel to where it ascended is. Dana asks if Shorty is bothered by regaining her memories, which she is, as she abandoned her partners and rested in a pile of SF corpses for 3 years, with Shorty feeling like she should have found a better way, or she could have been more reliable. After entering the tunnel, Dana explains why she thinks it's raining down sand, as she is asked by Shorty, with her reasoning being that IDW decided to end the world by drowning it in sand. Shorty says it's because of cats, and due to IDW having cat-like characteristics, it's not raining sand, it's raining kitty litter, the most direct solution a cat would have for burying something. Shorty mentions that IDW has a slow processing speed, which caused the end of the world to be greatly delayed. Shorty starts getting cold feet, which confuses Dana, as Alma said Shorty was a real firecracker, but Shorty doesn't like her personality. She thought with Alma's mission 3 years ago she could finally rid herself of being the insignificant little Shorty, that she finally had someone's approval. But in reality, she was chosen for her small size, which caused her to be resentful towards Alma, but she was just projecting her feelings about herself. Alma cheers Shorty up, saying that hurting herself to make herself feel better isn't going to get her anywhere, and to let IDW decide if Shorty is truly a bad person or not, instead of deciding for herself. Dana feels like they're near the Earth computer and pulls Shorty out of the way of a laser blast, as there's SF guarding it. Dana contemplates fighting them on her own, but shouts to Jericho that she'll miss a performance if she walks any slower. Jericho fires 2 shots and then appears, saying Dana owes her one now. Dana asks Jericho to cover her and Shorty while they run to the Earth computer. The two break through to the core, with Jericho telling them to hurry up as SF reinforcements will be coming in soon. Shorty rushes around trying to find IDW, finally coming across the area that IDW used to enter the core. As she climbs, the wall she is on gives away. Shorty is caught by a hand from the inside of the crevice, IDW. She comments that Shorty has gotten heavier and stops the SF assault. IDW asks how long she was asleep, with Shorty revealing it to be 3 years, then apologizing for taking so long to get her. Dana grabs the two and rushes them to the core elevator. 30 minutes later, Shorty asks how IDW is doing, with IDW being surprised that she filled the Earth with sand. Shorty apologizes again to IDW, not for keeping her waiting, but for how she treated IDW before, taking her anger out on her. IDW forgives her, with Shorty realizing that she herself wasn't all that bad of a leader. The elevator reaches the southern hemisphere, and Alma greets IDW with a tight hug. Alma says that after being asked by Shorty, she selected the two of them because she knew they'd succeed, not because of their small frames. Having brought the Earth computer back with them, Alma finally finishes the mission she couldn't complete 3 years ago. Having cracked Elisa, all Alma needs to do now is put Elisa back and give her orders. IDW and Shorty plug Elisa back into the computer when they hear a ticking noise. A bomb. It goes off, presumably destroying the Earth computer. Everyone survives, but Jericho sees someone at the center of the explosion. It's Anna. She's blown up the Earth computer, fusing Elisa's data and materializing a physical body. Anna is now the Earth computer. Destroying Anna means destroying the last hope for Earth. Anna reveals that she had Architect fiddle with Alma's PC, allowing her access. Anna still plans on destroying the world, though Anna does consider the world good as it is, but that's assuming the world is real and stable. Anna begins to walk back into the fire, summoning White Knight mechs, saying as she leaves that she can destroy the world however she wants, as she's now its god. Jericho says she'll stop Anna, with Anna saying her former subordinates will stop her first, before disappearing into the flames. Stella and Dorothy appear, with Stella saying that the person they have to stop isn't Anna. It's Jill. Back in the bar, Jill awakens from passing out to another bartender welcoming her to Valhalla. The bartender is unsurprisingly Springfield and asks if Jill has decided on her order, but Jill feels like something isn't right. A voice calls out to Jill, apologizing for being late, with that voice being revealed to be Architect. Jill doesn't remember her, with Architect reminding her that Jill saw her at the bar the other day with G28 when Anna gave Architect her mission. Jill is still confused as to where she is and how she got here. Architect says this place doesn't exist and then orders a mercury blast. Architect asks if Jill enjoys being healthy and accuses Jill of being stagnant when she answers that she does enjoy being healthy, with Jill agreeing. Architect continues on about how she's been to another world and met Jill in said other world. But the other world is about to be destroyed, as it is fated to. But other Jill looked much livelier than this Jill. Jill doesn't want to live someone else's life, but when offered by Architect to go back several years in her own life, Jill says that she'd agree in a heartbeat. Why would Jill accept replacing herself in the past instead of herself in another world? Jill wouldn't be able to adapt to another life. All she wants to do is fix her current one, not to start over anew. Springfield tells Architect that she should get a move on while she still has time, with Jill demanding an explanation as to what's going on. Architect would like to, but if she did, Jill's memories would vanish as soon as she leaves. Architect takes her leave, with Springfield warning her of the consequences, but Architect has no ill intentions, wishes current Jill good luck, and says that she'll be an answering machine next time. Jill thinks Springfield's chest is taunting her, and asks if she can go out for a smoke, with Springfield revealing there will be nothing outside that door, and Jill can't go anywhere without her permission. Jill orders a Sparkle Star and enjoys it, saying Springfield could skip training and become a bartender immediately. Springfield explains that Jill is basically having an out-of-body experience, which explains why Jill won't remember anything after she leaves. The topic of brain upload technology is brought up, which Jill has discussed before with a very special customer. Fundamentally, if uploading a brain is possible, then so is downloading a brain. But what does this have to do with Jill? That doll that Jill got drunk, 416 picked up Jill's old friend, Anna Graem, Anna's mind, and 416's drunken state formed a new electronic space, which developed a new world and civilization, with Anna now leaving that world as 416 regains consciousness. Architect is revealed to not be an investigator, as this is where Springfield is getting the info from, but a criminal they're keeping watch over, as prior to this incident, Architect was transported to a host doll's neural cloud with assistance from Ouroboros. And due to Architect's understanding of the world that was created by Anna, they decided to work with Architect to save said world. If the world is saved or not is up to Jill. Springfield is just there to watch. Springfield's shift ends as Jill tries to understand the situation, asking Jill to make her a sunshine cloud before she leaves. Before leaving, Springfield asks if Jill could accept something that is still fake, with Jill explaining that the drink is made from substitutes, therefore if something can affect her true emotions, she doesn't care if it's real or not. Springfield thanks Jill for making them and leaves everything to Jill, offering to serve Jill coffee when they meet next. Jill tries to think about what happened tonight. A doll got drunk, the entire world and bar was thrown into chaos, and she's stuck here now. A voice says good evening to Jill. Jill looks up to see another Jill, herself. They finally meet at last. Back with other Jill, Anna starts monologuing about how things have been revealed and come to an end, and asks how Jill would end the world if she had a plan to do so. Anna wants Jill to watch what she does very closely and remember everything about her, before telling Jill to wake up. Jill awakens in a hospital with Anna in front of her, as Jill's mind teleported her to the meeting point. Jill asks what happened to everything and everyone, with Anna in turn asking how they met. Jill attempts to remember how they met, bringing up that she heard Anna and something to do with her parents' divorce, but that she doesn't truly remember, though she can remember what happened before it clearly. It's because Anna designed it that way. Jill is past how Anna addresses Jill, G28's nickname, and this entire world. The world Anna made is incomplete, and the world they're currently in isn't a very real world. Anna and Jill are also fakes. Anna says that in the real world, it's just an ordinary day, and that the fake world they're currently in is coming to an end. In the real world, Griffin is a PMC that employs T-dolls, and said PMC came to Glitch City to conduct some tests. Real Jill got a doll drunk, which caused an electrical impulse, and real Anna, who only exists as nanomachines, was absorbed into the doll's neural cloud. Their memories fused and created Griffin City, the fake world they currently reside in. The world they live in was designed to be destroyed from the moment they were born. All it takes is for a doll to wake up. Jill doesn't remember anything, and neither does Anna, making them incomplete. The neural cloud selected the strongest negative emotions Anna witnessed from her memories to serve as foundation logic to make an end for this fake world. That negative emotion being Jill. Anna doesn't blame Jill for it, but she does believe that only Jill can save the world they're in. In order to save one of the worlds, a Jill needs to be sacrificed, either fake or real. Anna asks if Jill is willing to replace herself in the real world, which would only take a hug to transfer her memories via electronic synapse waves, but her body would become Anna's. Anna has already opened the gate to the real world. Jill says there has to be another way, but it's too late. Anna has already begun the teleportation. Anna, or at least fake Anna, doesn't want to truly die, which won't happen if Jill remembers her. Fake Anna appears back to where the Earth computer exploded, saying she had no intention of escaping, she just needed a bit of time. Anna's plan is going smoothly, as the group begins to realize that everything was planned for by Anna from the start, as well as realizing they've never truly existed. Alma protests about Anna using Jill to murder real Jill, with Anna arguing that the final decision rests with fake Jill. Stella says that she never gave Jill a choice, as Anna forced Jill through the portal. The group forces Anna to keep the gate open to truly give Jill a choice. Even if that Jill does return, there's no telling what would happen to the fake world they're in. Dana believes that Jill will return. The teleportation finishes, with Jill not recognizing her surroundings. A figure walks up to Jill. Elisa. Jill thought she'd be gone, but Stella upgraded Elisa and relinked her to the entire world. Elisa reveals to Jill, after Jill asks, that she has deleted everyone in the world to make up sufficient memory for the gate to be complete. Jill demands them back, but deletion orders can't be taken back. Everyone chose to do it because they knew Jill would come back and wanted her to have some place to return to. Jill begins to cry due to feeling selfish and losing her friends. Elisa asks why Jill came back, with Jill answering that she wanted to see everyone one last time, but now she has nothing. Whether they lived in a simulated world or were nothing more than text, everything happened, and in one way or another, it can't be erased. Dana helped Anna think things through, mostly with her fists, but they all wanted to save something. It was worth to them to at least save Jill. A large noise occurs, meaning the host is waking up. The end of the world. Elisa says Jill should forgive herself as she's done nothing wrong, and the fact that Jill came back proves the life she had in this fake world wasn't a mistake. Jill wishes Elisa a happy doomsday, and their world ends. In the real world, Jill tries to think over what happened that night, with a doll getting drunk and the world plunging into chaos, while she's stuck at the bar. A person enters the bar, Jill, but in a strange costume, which leaves bartender Jill stunned. This is the first time Jill wants to kill someone, that being her other self. Other Jill says she's not her, and to call her Julianne. She's not truly Jill, as she's from another world and has passed through a gate to arrive here. Julianne spent 15 years with a ghost, built a bar with them, and served many customers, just wanting to make the world better. Julianne's world is about to end, and will never have existed in a few minutes when Julianne leaves. Julianne orders a Zen star, which Jill criticizes, but Julianne brushes her off. Julianne asks if Jill wants to be a better person, which she does, meaning she doesn't want to run next time she's in trouble, but she doesn't want to abandon her memories. Julianne hugs Jill, but not to transfer her memories, just a hug. Julianne doesn't want to erase Jill, and she doesn't want to make her life worse. If Jill can hold her head high, she'll be better than Julianne, and she possesses the potential to do it. Only Jill can decide what kind of person she will be, not someone who would erase her memories, and therefore her. The two part ways, destined to never remember their interaction with each other, and to choose their own ends. Jill wakes up to a doll, 5-7, asking if she's still dreaming, before welcoming her to Valhalla. 5 is just here to recover 416, wanting to make sure she's had a good rest after clearing her cache. Jill offers 5 a drink, but she refuses as she doesn't like drinking with strangers. Jill explains that not everyone goes to a bar to get drunk, some just come and want to talk. 5 orders a moonblast, with 5 enjoying her drink. 5 asks Jill if she enjoys drinking, which she does, but mostly just canned beer at home since she just does bartending at a job. 416 finally awakens with her dreaming that someone shoved a ping pong ball-sized earth into her head. Jill makes 416 a crevice spike to sober her up, which makes her feel a bit better. 416 asks what happened last night, with Jill explaining that she got drunk and started shouting about wanting G28 to forget her, then complaining about a short teammate and the instructor of a training exercise, before tearing her clothes and dancing. Before 5 and 416 leave, 5 asks if they can host their farewell party here, with Jill saying that she'll need Dana's permission, with the two leaving shortly after. Anna shows up after they leave and talks about a dream she just had, one where she was a ghost that destroyed the world. At the same time, another Jill awakens, rising from her sleep capsule, wondering what happened to her world. Fake Jill, who is now a T-doll, finds a wooden door and walks through it. On the other side is Springfield, saying that she's happy to see Jill again. Springfield explains that she brought the fake Jill Stingray from the neural cloud and memories of 416 into the real world, and planted them inside a doll, making her real. WA appears and explains that she entered the fake world through the use of an electronic warfare module and the help of Architect to enter the fake world and copy its data. Jill thanks WA for saving her, with WA saying she was just following orders. Jill asks if she was the only one saved, before being interrupted by Dana, Shorty, IDW, Jericho, Alma, Dorothy, Say, Stella, and G28, all revealing that they lived instead of perishing inside the world from deletion. Jill guesses that they'll all be soldiers now and doesn't know how to express her gratitude. WA says they were able to fully recover the girls except one, Anna, who is now in the form of a fairy. Now that everyone is here, Springfield needs proof as a report to the commander and takes a photo of everyone. The crowd of people, who were once doomed, now happy with their fate, cherishes their newfound jobs, friends, and home. For the T-Doll summaries, they will be summarized in indexical order, and due to none of the characters from the event having voice lines, that section will be skipped entirely. Jill, full name being Julianne Natalie Stingray, is an extra star HG that's obtained from clearing E1-8 in the Valhalla collaboration event. Jill is a half-French bartender at Valhalla who lives alone in an apartment with her cat 4. She idolizes her boss Dana, hates being called Julianne, tries to play the cool bartender role, was a huge fan of the Magical Girl series model warrior Julianne, and has an ex-girlfriend Lenore who died from nanomachine rejection before the beginning of Valhalla the game. In her character art, drawn by Xiao Qi, Jill wears a poofy armed white button-up shirt with red tie, dark purple waistcoat, dark purple skirt, pantyhose, and black high heels. She stands behind a small bar that has -11, presumably Valhalla, a poster, some mixed drinks, a shot measurer, and a bottle of Jack Daniels. Behind her is a bar stool with a book on top. In her hand, she holds a mixing spoon and shaker. Like some HGs, Jill's main role is buffing all of her allies. Her tiles affect all types of T-dolls, giving them a 40% damage and accuracy buff, being best positioned on tile 5. Alright, this skill is going to take a while to fully explain. At level 10, Jill's skill, Mixing Time, has multiple effects depending on what drink component she has equipped. Passively, for every point in Jill's base damage stat, she receives a 1% reduction to her skill's base cooldown up to a max of 30%. What drink she makes can also give passive buffs to a Valhalla character, if it's their favorite drink. When active, the skill can have one of 7 effects, depending on the combination of mix-ins, with Jill mixing her cocktail shaker for 3 seconds before serving up the buffs. Big Beer, made of Bronson Extract, Flanner Guide, and Carmotrine, affects SGs only, buffing their damage and accuracy by 25% and armor by 20% for 8 seconds. Brandtini, 2 Adelhydes and a Powdered Delta, affects MGs only, buffing their accuracy and damage by 25% for 8 seconds. Piano Woman, Adelhyde, Bronson Extract, and Carmotrine affects T-dolls in the frontmost column, buffs their evasion by 60%, while everyone else gets a 20% damage buff for 8 seconds. Moonblast, 2 Adelhydes and a Carmotrine, increases the rate of fire for everyone by 22% for 8 seconds. Bleeding Jane, Bronson Extract, Powdered Delta, and Flanner Guide increases crit rate by 25% for all ARs and RFs. If they're over 100% crit rate, then 60% of the excess crit rate will be converted to crit damage instead, lasting 8 seconds. Fringe Weaver, 3 Carmotrine, buffs everyone's damage by 35% for 5 seconds. After the buff expires, everyone receives a -15% damage and accuracy penalty for 3 seconds. Sugar Rush, the default drink, being made when not enough mixers are present or the drink combo isn't recognized, buffs all allies' damage by 18% for 8 seconds. This skill has a 6-second ICD and 16-second NCD. When fully linked and at level 100, Jill has 80 HP per link for a total of 400, consumes 30 ammo and rations, deals 30 damage, has 96 evasion, 53 accuracy, 55 rate of fire, 15 move speed, 20% crit rate, and deals 150% damage on a crit. Jill is able to equip NVGs, suppressors, HP ammo, microchips, and exoskeletons. The recommended equipment varies on what echelon Jill is in, but using her special equipment is wholly recommended over normal equipment. Something like Bleeding Jane, which is Flanner Guide, Bronson Extract, and Powdered Delta, is good in my opinion. Those 3 mix-ins give plus 15 evasion each. This brings her stats to 141 evasion, and has Jill produce the Bleeding Jane buff. Jill is a unique T-doll, as she can't attack enemies, but does provide amazing support buffs. Her buffs allow her to be in a majority of squads to buff them further, has super high evasion, and her tile buffs are, to be frank, amazing. But with having her in her echelon, you're effectively giving up someone who is going to deal damage, along with her skill having a very high cooldown time, and Jill being unable to move when serving her drinks. In the end, it's a trade-off of buffs for possibly more damage, but overall, an amazing buffer. Sei Asagiri is an extra star HG that's obtained from possible map drops in E1-5 and E2-5 in the Valhalla collaboration event. Sei is an ex-White Knight Valkyrie who is a childhood friend and now bodyguard of Stella Hoshi. Sei is a very kind and compassionate person who defended Stella as a child from a rogue White Knight who took them hostage. When the authorities found them, the White Knight gouged Stella's eye out and kicked Sei, breaking several ribs and rupturing organs. Sei decided to be a White Knight as she wanted to become someone who helps others. In her character art drawn by Nin, Sei wears her White Knight Valkyrie armor, consisting of white armor with 765 on her right shoulder, baggy black pants, black bodysuit, a belt with pouches, stirrups on her boots, and a Stella charm. In her right hand, she holds a pistol. Like some HGs, Sei's main role is giving shields to some of her allies in her echelon. Her tiles affect all guns, giving a 30% damage buff and 20% evasion buff, being best placed on tile 5. At level 10, Sei's skill, White Knight Shield, passively and when Stella is present, Sei's attacks will be counted towards Stella's passive. When active, Sei grants a shield with 32 HP to all allied SGs, SMGs, and HGs. The lower the HP of the ally, the higher the HP of the shield, ranging from 0.8 times to 1.8 times of the base value. If Jill makes a Moon Blast, the shield's HP scaling is doubled. This skill has a 6-second ICD and 10-second NCD. When fully linked in a level 100, Sei has 85 HP per link for a total of 425, consumes 30 ammo and rations, deals 30 damage, has 77 evasion, 59 accuracy, 53 rate of fire, 15 move speed, 20% crit rate, and deals 150% crit damage. Sei is able to equip NVGs, suppressors, HP ammo, microchips, and exoskeletons. The recommended equipment for Sei is a 5-star suppressor, 5-star HP ammo, and White Knight's armor. This gives her plus 15 damage, plus 44 evasion, plus 20% crit chance, but minus 7 armor pen. This brings her stats to 45 damage, 121 evasion, 40% crit chance, and 8 armor pen. Sei is a good buffer with her skill, giving the tanks in her echelon a higher rate of survivability than normal. Good tile buffs for both DPS and tanks, and meshes well with Stella as her passive helps with her skill. However, other defensive dolls such as P22 and HS2000 can either buff damage and evasion, or shield everyone. Sei doesn't shield HRs, RFs, or MGs, and partially relies on having Stella in the echelon to be at her best. Overall, a good HG for niche squads. Dorothy Hayes, sometimes known by her nickname Becky, is an extra star SMG that's obtained from redeeming 150 White Knight armor shards in the Valhalla collaboration event shop. Dorothy is a DFC 72 class Lilim who works as a sex worker, using her young appearance to attract men who like younger women. She is able to shoot class 5 bullets from her fingertips in self-defense, with her knowing it's illegal to be armed with such weapons. Though her personality is usually bubbly and flirtatious, she sometimes gets bouts of depression stemming from sopilism, a fear of being the only thing truly in existence. In her character art, drawn by Feyron, Dorothy wears a white shirt with red stripes down the poofy shoulders and black and gold cuffs, a large red bow around her neck, a poofy red and white skirt she holds up with her left hand, a white and red headband, and zip-up shoes. Throughout the exposed parts of her body, you can see the segments. Like some SMGs, Dorothy buffs her and other T-dolls in her column's evasion. Her tiles affect ARs and RFs, giving a 15% damage buff and 25% accuracy buff, being best placed on tile 5. At level 10, Dorothy's skill, Secret Modification, passively has Dorothy use Nano Camouflage by default if she's in the middle row, otherwise she'll use MIRD-113. Actively, Dorothy can toggle between two effects. MIRD-113 increases damage by 100%, but reduces the accuracy of allies in the same column by 40% and increases their evasion by 80%. Nano Camouflage increases evasion by 100%, but reduces the evasion of allies in the same column by 40% and increases their accuracy by 80%. This skill has a 1-second ICD and 2-second NCD. If Jill makes a Piano Woman, the negative effects of her skill is reduced by 50%. This makes her damage either 56 or evasion 174 without equipment and without the drink. When fully linked in a level 100, Dorothy has 176 HP per link for a total of 880, consumes 85 ration and 60 ammo, deals 28 damage, has 87 evasion, 15 accuracy, 79 rate of fire, 12 move speed, 5% crit rate, and has a crit damage of 150%. Dorothy is able to equip telescopic sights, hollow sights, red dot sights, NVGs, suppressors, HP ammo, microchips, and exoskeletons. The recommended equipment for Dorothy is a 5-star suppressor, MIRD class 5 rounds, and a 5-star light exoskeleton. This gives her plus 22 damage, plus 30 evasion, plus 20% crit rate, but minus 7 armor pen. This brings her stats to 50 damage, 117 evasion, 25% crit rate, and 8 armor pen. This makes either her damage 100 or evasion 234 with her skill, and without a drink. Dorothy can have very high damage for an SMG or high evasion with maxed out equipment, as her skill has permanent uptime, and works very well with SMGs that need more accuracy such as SR3MP, or main tanks that need more evasion such as C-MS. But this comes with a cost of debuffing her teammates in some way, whether it be reducing their accuracy in exchange for evasion, or vice versa, as well as having a not so great tile formation. Overall, Dorothy serves as a great main tank for something like an AR SMG echelon and could even serve decently as an off-tank. Stella Hoshi is an extra star RF that's obtained from possible map drops in stages E1-8 or E2-8 in the Valhalla collaboration event. Stella is a longtime friend of Sei Asagiri, as the two met while playing at a children's playground when they were younger. Stella appears to be a cat girl with a robotic eye. This is due to the aforementioned White Knight attack and having a procedure done while she was in the womb to prevent nanomachine rejection. Though she acts prideful, she's a kind person at heart, giving the children of employees at her family's company gifts during Mega Christmas. In her character art, drawn by Noonan, Stella wears a dark red and black tube dress, long black gloves, a feathery boa, thigh-high stockings, knee-high lace-up boots, and a silver cross. She holds a pipe in one hand and a necklace with Sei on the other. Like most RFs, Stella's main role is dealing large amounts of burst damage. Her tiles only affect HGs and reduce their skill cooldown by 18%, being best placed on tile 4. At level 10, Stella's skill, Puppet Mass, actively increases her damage by 50%, bringing it to 175 for 5 seconds. Passively, when her puppets attack over 16 times, their next round of attacks deals plus 50% crit damage, bringing the damage on a crit to 234. And, if Sei is in the echelon, Stella provides a 10% reduction to her skill's base cooldown. If Jill makes a Bleeding Jane, Stella's puppets only require 10 attacks instead of 16. This skill has a 6-second ICD and 8-second NCD. Stella is able to equip telescopic sights, hollow sights, red dot sights, suppressors, AP ammo, microchips, and camo capes. The recommended equipment for Stella is a 5-star telescopic sight, 5-star AP ammo, and Stella's prosthetic eye. This gives her plus 3 rate of fire, plus 48% crit chance, plus 30% crit damage, and plus 180 armor pen. This brings her stats to 38 rate of fire, 88 crit chance, 180 crit damage, and 195 armor pen. This brings her skill's passive effect to 386 damage on a crit. Stella is quite the unique and interesting RF. Since she has 2 dolls that fire for her, her rate of fire is effectively doubled, making her attack twice as fast as other RFs, as well as the dolls being able to attack 2 different targets, and if set up correctly, Stella can reach massive crit damage numbers. However, because her dolls attack 2 different targets and deal half her damage, that means that when a doll does attack an enemy, it only does about 58 damage. Overall, she's a good generalist RF and has the ability to reach massive crit damage numbers if set up correctly. Alma Armes is an extra star MG that's obtained from redeeming 150 White Knight armor shards in the Valhalla collaboration event shop. Alma is a close friend of Jill's and works as a hacker, as well as having robotic hands to avoid carpal tunnel syndrome while hacking. Alma enjoys teasing people and is currently taking care of her older sister, Diana's, kids due to her traveling the world. She blames her family and traveling sister on her not being able to find a boyfriend and settle down. Jill is sometimes jealous of Alma's large breasts. In her character art drawn by Terrace, Alma wears a dark purple turtleneck sweater that accentuates her large breasts, tight-fitting black leather jeans, lace and zip-up black high-heel boots with purple ribbons, and half-rimmed glasses. Behind her, she has a rolling suitcase, which is where her drones around her come from, a large cable coming from the ground, and 3 different drones hovering around her. You can also see her robotic hands. Like most MGs, Alma's main role is dealing large amounts of burst damage. Her tiles only affect shotguns, giving a 15% damage and armor buff, being best placed on either tile 1, 4, or 7. At level 10, her skill, Love and Dreams, has Alma summon 2 additional drones to attack alongside her, with the additional drones dealing 40% damage, roughly 124 damage each, and last for 4 seconds. If Jill makes a Brantini, the duration of the drones increases by 1 second, to a total of 5 seconds. This skill has an 8-second ICD and 18-second NCD. When fully linked and at level 100, Alma has 195 HP per link for a total of 975, consumes 140 rations and 90 ammo, deals 89 damage, has 23 evasion, 31 accuracy, 129 rate of fire, 4 move speed, crit rate of 5%, deals 150% damage on a crit, and has a clip size of 9. Alma is able to equip telescopic sights, hollow sights, red dot sights, AP ammo, microchips, and ammo boxes. The recommended equipment for Alma is a 5-star telescopic sight, 5-star AP ammo, and her cybernetic hands. This gives her plus 6 ammo, plus 6 damage, minus 2 evasion, plus 48% crit rate, and plus 180 armor pen. This brings her stats to 15 ammo, 95 damage, 21 evasion, 68% crit chance, and 195 armor pen. This makes her skill do 133 damage. Alma is on the higher end of accuracy and damage for MGs, with a decent tile and layout buff for SGs, giving her the ability to put out more damage downrange before she has to reload. But her skill does make her a second volley MG, which are never in demand, as most SG-MG echelons want to beat the enemy in the first volley. However, if you're looking for an MG that does well in the first and second volley, Alma is a great addition to that team. Dana Zane, sometimes known by her wrestling name, the Red Comet, or simply as Boss by Jill, is an extra star SG that's obtained from clearing E1-1 in the Valhalla collaboration event. Dana was many things before she became the owner of the VA-11 Hall A bar, previously being the famous wrestler, the Red Comet, and a member of the Neo San Francisco police force before settling down and opening the bar. Though she likes keeping how she lost her arm a mystery, it's alluded that she lost it while fighting against a group of bears without killing them. Dana has a carefree attitude and cares for those who work under her. In her character art, drawn by Dugala, Dana wears a dark purple and black striped bodysuit with a white button-up shirt, red tie, and purple waistcoat over top, red lace-up boots, a belt, and a wrist warmer. Her left arm is the robotic one, with the entire arm being robotic, unlike Alma's hands. Like some SGs, Dana's role is crowd control and keeping enemies back. Her tiles only affect MGs, giving a 15% damage and accuracy buff, being best positioned on either tile 3, 6, or 9. At level 10, Dana's skill, Red Geyser, passively has Dana fire an exploding rocket fist, meaning she can only attack one enemy, dealing 1.8 times, about 68 damage, and having a 10% chance of knockback, not stacking with slug ammo. Actively, Dana jumps up and smashes the ground, causing a large explosion and dealing 0.6 times, about 22 damage, and knockback to enemies in a 2-unit radius. The damage of the skill is increased by 1% for every 1 point of armor Dana has, having a base of plus 22%. If Jill makes a big beer, Dana gets a 0.5 HP shield for every 1 point of armor Dana has, having a base of 11. This skill has an 8-second ICD and 18-second NCD. When fully linked and at level 100, Dana has 269 HP per link for a total of 1,345, consumes 90 ammo and 140 rations, deals 38 damage, has 13 evasion, 15 accuracy, 26 rate of fire, 6 move speed, 22 armor, 40% crit rate, 150% crit damage, and a clip size of 1. Dana is able to equip telescopic sights, hollow sights, red dot sights, NVGs, shotgun shells, microchips, and ballistic plates. The recommended equipment for Dana is her prosthetic arm, 5-star triple-aught buckshot, and a 5-star red dot sight. This gives her plus 21 damage, minus 1 rate of fire, plus 30 accuracy, minus 2 evasion, plus 22% crit damage, and plus 11 armor. This brings her stats to 59 damage, 25 rate of fire, 45 accuracy, 11 evasion, 172% crit damage, and 33 armor. This makes her skill give her plus 33% damage and a 16.5 HP shield if Jill makes her a big beer. Dana has the ability to be a very tanky SG, with her high base HP along with having a great tile buff and position, and guaranteeing knockback from her skill. However, with a clip size of 1, being only able to target one enemy and having a long initial cooldown, Dana starts to fall short. Overall, Dana makes for a good tank in most situations, but she shouldn't be used for much else. Graem is a battle-type technical fairy that's obtained in exchange for 80 white knight shards from the Valhalla event collaboration shop. Anna was a young adult who suffered from nanomachine rejection, and had a girlfriend, Lynette, who also suffered from the rejection, who Anna met in the hospital. Lynette didn't survive her condition, but Anna did, losing her arm in the process, though Anna was hit by a truck and died soon after she left the hospital. It's unknown how Anna came to be, but she enjoys teasing Jill, as Jill is one of the few people who can see and hear her. When at max, Anna gives a 25% damage, 30% accuracy, 65% evasion, and 8% armor buff. Her skill, Nano Ghost, when at level 10, consumes 1 support point per use, and in the next battle, T-Dolls in the front column gain plus 30% evasion but lose minus 20% damage, while other T-Dolls gain plus 20% damage but lose minus 30% evasion for 20 seconds. Anna is a bit of a gamble with her skill and is more geared towards either RFHG or AR SMG echelons because of it. Though the tanks in the front will get more evasion and the damage dealers will get more damage, it may reach a snag with enemies like Jaegers who target backline allies. But if she's used correctly, Anna can be a good fairy to use for buffs. Overall, this is honestly one of the best collaboration events that I've ever had the pleasure of playing. All of the characters fill some sort of niche or are useful in some way or another, with Jill being the star of the show. All the girls from the event can easily work together or separate in most echelons. The story was great as well, though it kind of got meta and it had a bit too many layers at the end, but it didn't require the player to play through Valhalla to follow the story, though it does help in some areas. Overall, I'd give the Valhalla event S for characters, B for equipment, S for story, and an A for skins. Thank you for watching. Please check out my Azure Lane and Arknight's videos as well.